Okay, here's a quick video to work out some extra problems from 6.3. This was completing the square. Alright, so we had completing the square on expressions and on equations. So if you haven't watched the video for this, please go back and watch that because I explain why we do what we do, which is kind of important in understanding like why it works and how it factors and everything. For this video, I'm just going to go through and work out a few problems. So let's say that we want to complete the square on an expression, and in the homework for this book, they want you to have it as... Sorry, I'm blanking on how they have... I think they have it written as x plus a squared plus b. I'm blanking on how the format of it. I think it was like this, x plus a squared plus b. You had to find the a and you had to find the b, like that. Okay, so we'll get it into this format. Make sure you pay attention to the homework on where the a and the b are, because I'm not 100% sure. So let's say that we've got x squared plus 4x plus 5, and we want to complete the square on this expression. Now, this doesn't factor. I can't factor this, and I want to get it into this form, something squared plus a number. This is a quadratic form that's good for graphing parabolas. So it has a use outside of the stuff that we're doing right now. So we're going to practice getting it in this form. So to do that, we're going to focus on the two x terms, okay, because the plus 5 isn't helping us any. This is an expression, not an equation, so I've got to keep everything together, and I can't change the quantity of what I have. So x squared plus 4x, I'm going to move the 5 over here a little bit, and then remember from the video, we've got to get this in the right form by adding a number right here. I need to get this into the form of something squared so that I can do that. So to do that, you take the middle number, you divide by 2 and square it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2 squared is 4. I need to add a 4 right here to get it into the right form. But we can't just throw a 4 into the middle of an expression. That changes what it is. So to balance this out, I'm going to do a minus 4 over here. If I add 4 and minus 4, then I haven't changed what we started with. I could simplify this and get back to my original problem. Okay, so divide by 2 and square it. We add that there. We do minus over here. Now, we do this because this should now factor as something squared, and it does. It's x plus 2 times x plus 2, or x plus 2 squared. Okay, so now this factors. Over here, I simplify this and I get plus 1. Okay, so again, we do divide by 2 and square it to get this in the right form to be something squared. And then we have to balance it out over here and simplify. So if I have the setup for your homework correct, this is your A and this is your B. Okay, but pay attention to what I'm not 100% sure on that, so pay attention to that in the homework and see. Alright, let's do one more like that. Let's do one more expression. Let's say that we've got x squared plus 6x, no, sorry, let's do a minus. X squared minus 6x minus 4. Alright, so we want to get this into the form of something squared. So I'm going to rewrite this with a little bit of space here, because I got to work with this. And again, I'm going to take the middle number. I'm going to divide by 2 and square it. So divide by 2 is negative 3. Squared is positive 9. When you square it, it's always going to come out positive. So divide by 2 and square it. And then I've got to balance that out by doing minus 9 over here. Plus 9 minus 9, I haven't changed anything. So now I should be able to factor. This is going to factor as minus 3 and minus 3, or x minus 3 squared. It should always be half of the middle number if you've done it correctly. X minus 3 squared minus 13. Okay, and then there's your A, should be negative 3, and there's your B, should be negative 13. Alright, equations is the same process, just a little bit of difference in the balancing part, because we have the other side of the equation to use. So let's say that we want to use completing the square to solve equations now. So looking at this, we've done factoring and square root method. We can't use either of those here, so we're going to use completing the square. So I'm going to move this 6 to the other side, just like we kind of moved it off to the side here, but I can actually move it to the other side now because I've got an equation. Same process here. I'm going to divide by 2 and square it. Divide by 2 is 2, square it is 1. I'm sorry, divide by 2 is 1, square it is 1. Okay, so I add 1 here. Now to balance an equation, I can add 1 to the other side. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. So that's the difference between an expression and an equation. Expression, I have to do plus and minus to balance it out. An equation, I add the same amount to both sides. That's equation rules. So on the left-hand side, that factors as x plus 1 squared, again half of the middle number, or 1 and 1, multiply to be 1, add to be 2. And on the other side, I get 7. So now as an equation, we can keep going. We want to solve this. I've got something squared is equal to a number. We remember from the last section, something squared is equal to a number. We can take the square root. Don't forget your plus or minus. On the left-hand side, it cancels. And on the right-hand side, we get plus or minus the square root of 7, which does not simplify. So the only thing that I have left to do is do a minus 1 to get x by itself. So I get negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 7 for my answer there. Okay, so a little bit of difference there in how you balance it between an expression and an equation. And then with an equation, of course, you're going to go ahead and finish solving it so you get x equals a number.